for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. It is I, Steve Majota, and Jacob Trobo on Phi. And Jake, Wonderwall. How was that? Minnesota United beating FC Dallas 1-0 Saturday evening in a regular July MLS match, but late drama. Pretty exciting stuff, huh?
Had to have been the most dramatic match I've ever been to, with the 91st minute go-ahead goal by Mason Toye. You then have the Vito Mannone penalty save in the 97th minute to secure the win for Minnesota United. You had the playoff implications on the line with the 5th and 6th seeded teams going at it head-to-head. Very boring match for the first, 70 minutes. The intensity seemed to pick up a little bit. And then, bam. Just this grand crescendo in stoppage time in the second half. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a blast. Toye scores the game-winning goal. There's these teenagers who are standing next to me, haven't said a single word to them, and all of a sudden they're jumping on me, they're hugging me, we're doing high fives. The guys next to me are hugging me. I literally haven't said anything to anybody, and people are giving me hugs. I'm getting high fives from everybody. It was an electric atmosphere. It was probably the loudest I've ever heard Allianz Field.
Wow. Did you hear that?
Wow.
Let's listen to this Jake singing Wonderwall. How special is it, Jake, to have Wonderwall play at the end of these wins, and now that the team is running? Like, this is soccer. This is the beautiful game coming together, huh?
It feels like it, doesn't it? You can just feel the emotion through that video. I think like I said, it was just this grand crescendo at the end of the moment. The stadium wanted to erupt, and when that goal went in, everybody did. And then you had all the emotions, all the drama after the Mason Toye goal with the VAR on the penalty, and then the penalty eventually awarded to Dallas, and then Ziegler is denied by Vito Mannone at the end there. It was just everything about it. The place erupted, and like you said, with the Wonderwall, it feels like an authentic atmosphere too. Wow.
Get that, Armand. Authentic atmosphere. MLS is slowly but surely coming along. Listeners, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, follow us at Uncle Sam Soccer Pod. Now, on today's episode, talking about a Super League. Armand, from the Dallas point of view, different story, huh?
It's devastating from the Dallas point of view, to be honest with you. The better team for most of the match, and then, like you've seen throughout the year, they kind of I don't know if turned off is the right word, but they kind of succumbed to the pressure of Minnesota United, who just kind of I got to rewatch the last 10 minutes because I'm not sure what exactly flipped, but it just seemed like Minnesota just kept ramping on the pressure, and Dallas just couldn't handle it. Maybe they're gassed, they were tired, I'm not sure. But no, it's a pretty brutal result because it's another game where in MLS, we know, like, hey, look, like, starting gets to a point where these things kind of matter. You can't drop points when you're the better team, when you're the better team for a majority of the match. And, it's a crazy thing because they were the better team most of the match. Jake will agree. I think everyone in Minnesota will agree. It's just the last 10 minutes they turned off. And you know what? You can't, in a road game like that, the home team is going to, use the fans' energy to get them going as well. And you can't let them in the game. You got to take advantage of opportunities and finish them, or try to kill off the game. And I don't think Luchi Gonzalez tried to kill off the game. I think they kind of left it open. They wanted to go for the 3 points and not just a draw. And I think that's why you saw what ended up happening in the end. And if you look back, what will Luchi say? Luchi make us fine. Like, we're trying to go for 3 points. We'll go for 1. We go for 3. If that's what happens, that's what happens. That's just their mentality. That's how they go. But it's a pretty rough result, especially because they had a chance at the end to salvage all of it. To salvage the mistakes in those last 10 minutes, they had a chance. and then Ziegler steps up and botches a penalty. So there you go. I mean, it's just not
massive playoff picture implications of this match.
Totally. And one thing, too, that I don't think Armand mentioned, Dallas not only outplayed Minnesota for 80 minutes of that match, but Minnesota also played a midweek game against New Mexico United in which I don't think there were any changes from the match on Wednesday and the match Saturday night. So Dallas had a great opportunity to not only get a draw, but to secure 3 points, and they failed to do so. And I think they're going to look back on that match and see it as a missed opportunity at the end of the season.
Yeah, no doubt. The other hot team right now in MLS is the San Jose Earthquakes. And listeners, be on the lookout. We'll do a special episode on San Jose here coming up. But, Jake, time to move on to a Super League.
Almost like a North American Super League with only Liga MX and MLS. If you haven't heard, starting on July 23rd is the Leagues Cup, which will feature Chicago Fire, LA Galaxy, Houston Dynamo, Real Salt Lake of MLS, and they'll be taking on the likes of Cruz Azul, Club Tijuana, Club America, and Tigres of Liga MX. It's a knockout tournament style with the finale dated at September 18th in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium, home of the UNLV Running Rebels. And guys, this Leagues Cup has started the discussion of whether or not Liga MX and MLS will unite or merge or whatever words you want to use in the near future. Hercules Gomez had out a tweet on July 12th saying, "Get ready for MLS versus Liga MX Interliga play. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. The two best leagues in the region want to unite." Now, Steven, those are pretty big. That's a pretty big prediction from Hercules Gomez. And why don't you play the audio of Don Garber talking on this very subject?
In many ways, that's what Leagues Cup is. It's the first step trying to figure out how could you have more compelling competition in addition to the competition that we have with the CONCACAF Champions League. I mean, the ultimate dream, and Enrique talked about it down in Mexico, we've been talking about it a lot here, is if you ever can dream of a league that is combined in some way, it could be a powerful force in professional sports, competitive with all the other major leagues in North America because of the uniqueness of that structure. But you got to walk before you run. You've got to create programs like this to see the way they're organized and the way that they can be executed. And I think you're going to see more and bigger partnerships between our two leagues in the years to come.
And that's from Don Garber, essentially saying their dream scenario would be merging MLS and Liga MX. And that gets us right into our question of the day, listeners. At Unc Sam Soccer Pod, would both leagues benefit from the creation of a North American Super League? Give us your take at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. And Armand, let's start with you on that question. Where do you stand on that subject?
Yes, both leagues would 100% benefit from the creation of a North American Super League. I mean, let's keep it real, guys. Why do you think Mexico plays a majority of their friendlies in the United States? Money. They get the most money. It's quite obvious. Look, Liga MX is one of the most, I want to say it's almost even above, or it might be even above the Premier League in terms of TV ratings, league in America, right?
It depends, but yeah, they're closer. They're much closer than what MLS is to the Premier League,
right? Exactly,
or even Liga MX.
They're pretty close. The Mexican national team numbers shatter. They do phenomenal. Now they can tap into this American market with MLS and with increased media exposure in easily the biggest sports landscape in the world. Come on. Both leagues would benefit substantially. It gets more eyeballs than MLS. Gets Liga MX more money and also more eyeballs. Look, I'm looking at it from a mainly monetary standpoint, but also gives them quality matches as well, right? You're playing against quality competition. Week out. I'm not saying some teams Liga MX are bad. I'm not saying some teams in MLS are terrible. Obviously they're not. Some of them aren't the best, and some of them aren't amazing. So you get that quality competition between two sides. And again, that you get eyeballs. I mean, who's not going to watch a North American Super League? Who isn't? Why wouldn't you want to watch that?
I don't know. First off, this 2019 Ligas Cup, whatever it's called, completely forgot about it. Armand, I know this is off topic, but I want to ask you this. Somebody who's in and out of an MLS locker room, if you're the Chicago Fire, LA Galaxy, Houston Dynamo, and the Real Salt Lake, how seriously are you going to take this cup?
You're not going to take it that seriously. The Dynamo, with Wilmer Cabrera, said we're going to field a lineup with USL players. The thing is...
Then why play this? What is... As a coach, I'd be pissed playing this tournament.
Well, they are. I 100% agree with you. Let's think about it from another perspective as well. Remember, MLS has all these mid-season friendlies and stuff. This is basically our mid-season friendly, but with a little title on top. And it sucks for Liga MX teams because this is a midweek game for them as well. They're starting their season relatively soon. So this is another a midweek match. I don't understand it. I guess money talks, but
yeah.
Yikes.
Jake, you said something about the U.S. Open Cup in our text messages that you said they should play it on the weekends.
They should. I don't understand why they wouldn't play it on the weekends. I don't understand. Look, the U.S. Open Cup doesn't do that well in terms of attendance, right? I think we all can agree upon that. I think we all can look at some of these early stage matches where MLS just gets in and you have 5,000 people at games, right? I think we all can agree, a 5,000 person filled stadium on a Wednesday night is just an awful look. But when you put these matches on the weekends, when you put them on a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon, they feel a little bit more important. People have a little bit more of a reason to go to them because they can't fall back on the excuse of, well, it's a weeknight game. I got work tomorrow morning. I don't want to deal with it. And I think that'd be great for U.S. Soccer to put them on the weekend, make them feel a little bit more important. I don't know why MLS teams don't do that when they already have tickets sold for a lot of these league games that you can just move to a Tuesday or a Wednesday night.
Right. And think about it, the complications of playing a U.S. Open Cup midweek game. The Chicago Fire, the Galaxy, the Dynamo, Real Salt Lake, they're not going to care for this. It's a glorified friendly with some of these clubs, like the Galaxy, are in the middle of playoff seeding. And seeding is going to make a huge difference in the upcoming playoffs. There's a format change. So to dump this in the middle of the season, to me, makes no sense. And then you start the matches on July 23rd and 24th. Then the semifinals are August 20th, and then the final is September 18th. I mean, you're talking about a tournament that seems to be kind of obnoxious, but I guess gets the ball rolling on the Super League. And the Super League is nothing but a money ploy. Tell me what benefit, apart from the financial gain that Liga MX and MLS get out of it, comes from it.
More exposure, more eyeballs, increased level of competition. I think you can make an argument.
You'll get more eyeballs, though? I get
yes.
it. You'll get more eyeballs from soccer lovers, but are you going to get the neutrals into this?
I don't know if you get the neutrals into it, but if I were to tell you that because you combine two leagues, there's a larger influx of money, which therefore means better players are going to be brought into this region of the world from the outside. Wouldn't you want that?
I mean,
let's look at Liga MX TV ratings or the average amount of viewers for a Liga MX game last year on national TV, 459,000 people. It's actually been decreasing over the last 3 years because there's actually an oversaturation of Liga MX games on national TV here in the U.S. But you compare that to MLS's numbers, which are 290,000 average viewers on a national TV game, and you can see why they'd want to do that. You combine the two, you get MLS, which doesn't have any history, which really only has an American following, if you even want to call it that, and you get these Mexican teams who have tradition, who have history, who have a strong following here in the U.S., and you combine the two. It makes total sense. I mean, the American sports entertainment industry is the most lucrative sports market in the world. I mean, there's no coincidence that the NFL and the NBA are the two most successful leagues in the world. And as an owner, if you're an owner in Mexico, why wouldn't you want to tap into that market more? And if you're MLS and you know Liga MX does better than you in your own country, why wouldn't you say, hey, Liga MX, come on over. Let's combine this thing. You want to make money off us. We want to make money off you. This just seems like a perfect marriage. Let's do it.
Those numbers Jake cited come from World Soccer Talk. Armand, Jake mentioned something rather interesting. He said, if you're a Mexican owner, why not tap into America? But do you not risk ruining what soccer is all about? Having a domestic league competing in a regional tournament and so on and so forth?
Come on, Steven. You're talking like soccer has morals. Does soccer have morals? Let's be honest here. States own teams, right? There's financial doping, right? There's no promotion relegation in soccer or in MLS specifically because of this worry about losing money and investment and whatnot. The Liga MX is a promotion relegation system where if you pay $7 million, you can stay up. Like, it's all about money. And you know what? By 2027, the Super League for Europe might be created. Why not make one in the United States? Why not? And you know what? Maybe you can actually make some fake promotion relegation in that instance as well. I don't see. Look, the morality of soccer is this: there used to be some, and it's pure, but at the top, it's not. It really isn't. So I think you will risk losing it, but whatever, man. Money talks.
Listeners, once again, question of the day: would both leagues benefit from the creation of a North American Super League? At UncSamSoccerPod on Twitter. Now, guys, even if the two leagues wanted to merge and unite and create this one league, there are still a lot of hoops to jump through in terms of would FIFA allow. We know UEFA is trying to create their own version of the Super League, but let's get to Don Garber talking about this very subject of would FIFA even allow this to happen?
More competitive against the neighbors down south, and you guys unite forces. Is it even possible with FIFA?
Sure, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, the governing bodies of our sport are looking to see how we could have more compelling competitions. Enrique had mentioned the Campeones Cup, to have the champions of our two leagues playing against each other in Atlanta, when we'll have a massive crowd coming up in the fall. Is going to be just an exciting new competition. I think that's ultimately good for the game. I think it's good for FIFA. It's good for CONCACAF, good for our two leagues.
I just think MLS wants to beat Europe to a Super League. I think MLS is leading the charge so they can be the first. All these creations of the Campeones Cup, the Ligas Cup, all this stuff is nothing but fluff. The players don't care. The coaches honestly are mad that they have to play this. I am curious to know whether or not they actually make money off of it. And what significance does this bring to the players' trophy cabinet, to the club's trophy cabinet? They create these competitions, but it dilutes the value of the trophy. It dilutes what it means. When we talk about the treble within the American game, it's the Supporters' Shield, the MLS Cup, and the U.S. Open Cup, right? But that's really only limited to the MLS clubs. No one else can win the Supporters' Shield or the MLS Cup. But the Supporters' Shield really doesn't mean all that much if you don't win the MLS Cup. So you create all these competitions. I think if they're going to create a Super League, they're going to have to get rid of some of these cups. Honestly, this creation of the Super League, apart from the money, is stupid. Stupid. Because I do not know whether or not the neutral fan looks at this and go, now I'm suddenly interested in MLS. No, this is a pander to all those who like Liga MX games, because I think MLS is looking at it going like, I don't know what else we can do to grow the domestic game.
Well, Steven, I don't think this is to grow the domestic game. I think this is going to be a full-on season. This isn't going to be you have your MLS schedule and Liga MX schedule.
Yeah, you're right.
I think this is a This isn't a separate competition. This is.
But I don't understand the logistics of it. I don't get why Let me play back this. Let me play this back. This Wonderwall. Beautiful. I don't know if you'll get that with this creation of the Super League.
You don't think I will still be singing Wonderwall if Minnesota United beats Tigres on a Saturday night in St. Paul?
You'll be singing that loudly.
I don't think so. I don't think so because the rivalries aren't there. There's not a natural rivalry.
But there's no natural rivalries in MLS anyways.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. So now they're going to jumpstart a Super League across teams that don't really know each other. The natural rivalry you get out of this is what happens with the national teams. The USA versus Mexico. That's the rivalry they're putting their money on. But if you ask me, you're going to have you're going to have games in America. However they're going to set up the travel for all this. You're going to have a big Mexican club come up, and the MLS club is going to be on the road because there's going to be more interest from the Hispanics that have interest in Liga MX.
You're not wrong, but how much do we complain about MLS not having that visiting support?
I know, but I don't know if it makes it all that lucrative for players to come and play in the Super League.
So Steven, you bring up an interesting point, and maybe we may look into this. But I know, for example, in Dallas, right? There's a lot of Tigre. They're not in Dallas, in Texas. There's a lot of Tigre supporters groups, but they come from like Houston, very south, Houston, San Antonio. Would they make that drive all the time? Is my question, which I would say is no. And my thing is, I think we might be overstating the potential impact of those games being played in the United States and being a quote-unquote road game, because I don't think they'll go – if this game is like – if the season's 40 or 34 to 40 games, they're not going to go to every game. They're not going to do that. They usually make that trek every once in a while because it's every once in a while against their team in America, right?
You're right.
I don't think the atmosphere will go away. I think the level of play will go up. I think it will be very different, though. I think different as in not as in it's like different. It's weird. It's gonna be weird because you don't usually have two separate nations playing each other. And you're right, the rivalries are gonna take a while to develop, and they're probably gonna be more competitive than like a fake, Atlanta-Orlando rivalry or something like that. Like they're going to be a little bit more competitive based. Like maybe you're going to have more rivalry between like Xolos and like the Galaxy because they're close to each other. And those guys, but I mean, outside of that, you're not going to have those like locational rivalries. So, I mean, I look, the travel in MLS a lot. Yeah. We already know that. So, I mean, adding a little bit more won't be that bad, but obviously there's going to be some restructuring of the CBA, and I honestly think as Garber and Bonilla is the president of Liga MX, their goal. I think their goal is to combine together and make a Super League and cut out all these crap teams below them. Forget the USL, forget the Ascenso League, which is the second league in Mexico, and let's just make the money. Let's have more CCL quarterfinal matches and less, matches between Chicago Fire and RSL.
Yeah, fine. Listeners, call me a traditionalist. I do not like the expansion of what Europe has done. Don't like this idea of a Super League. I like the current format where everything is in the domestic leagues, and then from there you have to qualify for the Champions League or the Europa League or the CONCACAF Champions League if you want to play across country lines. Fine, call me a purist in that sense. I personally don't like it. It's going to take some time for me to actually like it. I think this Champions Cup is useless. The Ligas Cup, useless. MLS is on the verge here of continuing to grow. I don't know if they're going to hit a ceiling at some point before we get another expansion of growth. But it does feel like MLS is trying to grab as much cash as they can because they worry that they can't grow fast enough to keep up with the NBA or the NFL or even the Premier League's dominance here in America.
Steven, I think they've hit the ceiling, actually.
What? Really?
I think they've hit the ceiling because they are essentially using expansion teams to kind of to prop up the league, if you will, right now. And what's a great way to create a safety net for MLS? Well, that's to pair up with the most popular league in the country right now, which is Liga MX.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to protect your investment if you're an MLS owner. But listeners, question of the day: would both leagues benefit from the creation of a North American Super League? Guys, I want to read a tweet here from Eric Gomez of ESPN in response to this thread from Hercules Gomez. He tweets at Hercules Gomez, 2026, it's happening. 3 tiers, full pro rel, and divisional setups to limit cross-continental travel, which has been, Steven, your biggest gripe with this whole thing with the travel. But last question here. Is this a gateway to finally have promotion and relegation within soccer in this country? I don't want to say U.S. soccer because it wouldn't be a true pyramid, but would this be a gateway to have pro rel?
Yeah, but so it's gonna be a very limited pyramid, and you know what? I mean, it's whatever.
What is this pyramid we're talking about? So what is it? The Super League's 20 teams?
Let's say 20 teams. Yeah,
right.
10
but
from each.
Is it really 10 each? Is that really that fair?
And that's an interesting question, Stephen, that has to be figured out if they were to do it. Like Eric said, he believes it would be a 3-tier system. I'm not sure if that means there's an MLS 2, an MLS 1, and then you have the Super League, and also with Liga MX 2, Liga MX 1, right. Super League.
And I wonder what USL is going to do. Like, what do you think these divisions in U.S. soccer are going to look at and do if this were to get created? Would they take the back alley and go, look, we stay American, we are authentic American soccer, MLS is a bunch of sellouts?
I mean, they might, who knows, maybe they'll implement their own promotion and relegation, so you have that structure in place within the U.S. soccer, I guess, sphere, if you will.
It's no longer a pyramid.
It's no longer a pyramid. I don't know what you'd want to call it. A tree? Who knows? But anyways, that's it for our show today. Listeners, question of the day at Unc Sam Soccer Pod: would both leagues benefit from the creation of a North American Super League? You can follow Steven Jodaran at Steven Jodaran, and you can follow Armand Kafai at Armand Kafai. You can follow myself at Jake Watroba. For Steven and Armand, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys next time.